My eyes snapped open, and I pulled myself to a sitting position. Sweat dripped from my forehead as I shook it. That dream was so real. My heart thudded in my chest, and I fought to catch my breath. Every smell and scent was still vivid in my mind, as though I had just stepped from that place. I could still picture the long pipes, vision-obscuring steam, red-tinted lights, and him. I used the back of my hand to wipe the sweat away, and looked at the clock next to my television. 3 a.m. I was already late. Still, this was important. I had a role to play in this creation, and I should strive to fill that role completely. I took a deep breath, pushed the images of my nightmare out of my head, and stood. As I slipped the mask on my head, I felt euphoria as my predatory urges surfaced. When I wore the mask, I was no longer me. I was no longer Travis Wells, film student and scaredy cat. Instead, I became the unstoppable antagonist of countless films, the invincible predator that wouldn't stay down. With this mask, I'd stood up to the bullies and turned my life into the films I used to play on repeat. I had even found a protagonist. She was a blonde bombshell that was smarter than she pretended to be. She was strong, independent, and witty. But that wasn't the best part. She also had a tragic backstory. When she was younger, she'd watched her father murdered in his sleep. I had known her for years, and even would go over to her house when she was younger. Our fates intertwine. I can't wait for the day when she fulfills her role, making the movie complete. When I arrived, the only light coming from her house was through the living room window, the shifting blue of a late-night horror show. Travis Wells would have given up when faced with the tall fence blocking access to her backyard, but the antagonist slipped over it without a sound. I found the back door unlocked, and I slipped the knife from under the black tattered cloak I wore. The silver glinted in the moon as I pushed the door open. There she sat, wrapped in blankets, watching a rerun of The Hills Have Eyes. Excitement filled me, and my hand shook as I raised the knife above my head. It would happen soon. Something would give away my presence, and she would fight back. In this final showdown, she'd get the upper hand, and that would be it for me. With surprise, I felt the sharp sting of 5 blades cut into my stomach. My eyes wide, I glanced down to see the man from my nightmare smiling up at me. He laughed as he dragged his blade fingers up to my ribcage. "Wrong movie, bitch," he laughed as the world around me drained away.